Hey, Amie.
Yeah, Juan.
Give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio version, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review. Help spread the word. Tell everybody to come join the party. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us in comments. We love engaging with you. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. Amie, ¿cómo estás?
Hi. Oh my gosh. Do you know what week we're in?
What week are we in, Amie?
Spring training games week.
Exactly. But before we go into the spring training, I want to know, how was your weekend?
It was good. I went to the batting cages and
Yeah,
got
I want to
a
address
lot of
that.
the feels out. I did send you a message. I said Michiro may need to come out of retirement and come.
I want to address you at the batting cages. Are you holding out on me? Are you secretly in some softball league that I'm not aware of? Like,
Not yet.
Why were you at the batting cages?
Not yet. I mean, when I lived up north, I played on a couple of leagues. Not well, just for fun. I love going to the batting cages. I
Like, you
used
just
to
literally just go down to the batting cages just for fun, just to hit?
Yeah, I used to go every weekend. And then life got busy, and this weekend I decided to make a concerted effort to go back, and I went on Saturday and it was amazing, and then I messaged my primo afterwards and we made a date to go the next day, and so me and my cousin went and smashed some more balls. It was great. I love going. It's like one of my favorite things to do on the weekend, like just to get everything rolling. So you don't go on a regular basis?
You know, it's been ages since I've gone to the batting cages. Ever since I've had my shoulder injury
Oh,
has forced me to retire from the adult men's softball league world. Yeah, I've never, honestly though, the reason why is we would just have practices. So that's
no.
where I would do my hitting would be.
You never went for fun just to, like, swing a bat?
What the thing is some of those batting cages are possessed. I wait, did you went to the one in Buena Park, huh?
I go to lots of batting cages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
It looked, but then now that I think about it, the picture that you sent me, all batting cages look the same. But
yeah,
there is this
so there
one.
are good ones. So I was just talking to one of the guys at the brewery this weekend. I miss the ones up north that were at, like, the golf courses because they look kinda like a big top tent. You can, like, hit, and then you can see it sail across the whole thing where, like, when you go to
Okay,
a
but let's
legitimate
correct
batting
something right
cage,
here.
it's
Let's correct something. You mean the miniature golf courses?
Yes, sorry, yes, thank you. Miniature golf. Like, we had, like, a Boomers, I think, up there? I don't know.
Yeah, there's one where I was raised called Camelot that had a batting cage
Yes! We had my senior not trip, but our senior grad night there.
at Camelot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Shouts out to Ozarez, ladies and gentlemen. He was the manager at Camelot. I went to high school with him, and whenever we would show up, he would hook us up with stuff. Good old Oz.
Oh my
Wonder
gosh.
what he's doing now.
So even when I lived up north, I used to wake up every weekend and go to the cages. That's like my thing.
Yeah, I like it. If I was going to do a tournament, like sometimes I would go and like go to the cages just to try to work on my timing. But let's be honest, it's slow pitch. I mean, what am I going to the cages for?
'Cause
It's
it
slow
just
pitch.
feels good. It's a good stress reliever. One of our listeners reached out. They were like, "How many did you hit?" And I was like, "I hit 120 out of 120." It's softball. Like, I don't
Is it-
miss. Eye on the ball. Like,
Hey, look, call me a throwback. I believe in T work. I know Federico is the T work. Tony Gwynn. I would give myself a tee, and I would just put my ball on the tee, and I would just go to a park and
oh,
just
I'm
do that.
lazy. I don't wanna have to go, like, pick up balls. There's a place, I
That's
think in
how I got
Signal.
my steps in, Amy, is
Oh, no,
going
no.
retrieving the balls.
There's a place in Signal Hill, and, like, it's cool, and you know that they probably have, like, a lot of training for, like, the youth leagues, but you have to have somebody with you. They gotta feed the ball in, and then you gotta go pick them up in a bucket afterwards. I'm like, "No, no, no." The batting cages I like to go to, like, fire it out, let them roll away. But I always have a bat and batting gloves in my car, like, because
Batting
you never know when you're gonna like drive by one and need to go in.
See, batting cages left a sour taste in my mouth back from when I played hardball, because
Oh,
I would go to those things and you would get one like right down the middle, and then the next one would go at your head, and it's just like, how am I supposed to get any like?
oh, I don't.
You
Okay.
never went to those crazy defective batting cages?
I did, and then I stopped going. I think,
See, you know
All
what I'm
Star
talking
All
about.
Star and Bellflower used to be like that, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm not coming back here."
Yeah, I mean, this is insane. It's like you get one on your ear, the next one's at your knees. Maybe you might get one at your waist. I mean, like, what is
All
this?
right, I'm gonna take you to my super secret spot, and we're gonna bring Michiro out of retirement. We can put all the ace bandage on you, and we'll make
You
it
know what?
go.
The other traumatizing thing about batting cages is I was lucky enough when I was a kid. My uncle built a batting cage in the backyard in his house. So my cousins and I, we would all like before we had games, we would take turns hitting in the cages, but we would feed the ball into the pitching machine. And the thing is all my cousins were better than me. All my cousins were hitting machines. Like these motherfuckers, they hit hard, right? And so the thing is like after time, we beat up that chain link fence so much that there were like openings in the fence. And so I'm putting the ball in there, and sometimes they would hit a line drive and it would go through the fence. And I either would take one in the nuts or I take one in the arm. And it was just like you'd literally like run and put the ball in the pitching machine and then just cover yourself because you didn't want to get hit.
Well, why didn't you guys just rig something up, like put something in front of it so you didn't get hit?
Because we're lazy. That's too much
Oh,
work, Amy.
okay. I mean,
Let,
there's that too, sure. Well, we are built differently because I just like to go and swing a bat. So,
Wow, I'm very happy. Yes, I will take you up on the batting cage. That it threw me back. It made me very happy to see that you were at the batting cages. So,
so not once but twice this weekend. I'm a little sore, but yeah, I'll just
wow, look at you. All
yeah.
right, before we start, because we actually have some spring training action, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to get into. But before we get into the spring training action, I do want to address some of the comments from our comment corner.
David
Because
wants a taco. Was talking about heat.
that's right. Oh, God, bless your heart. By the way, David, I just want you to know that I screenshotted that comment and I sent it to all my buddies in my group chat, and they were so happy for you that you have come and you've become a disciple of Michael Mann of Heat. I do feel bad for your wife. I think my wife probably sympathizes with you because whenever Heat is playing locally around here,
Oh
I
my god.
drag, but my wife does like Heat. I think what
I
she doesn't like,
love that movie.
I think what my wife doesn't like is that I love it so much, because she likes it herself.
Hmm.
Is there any other?
I knew Wendy was a classy gal.
She's a Schwarzenegger fan. She loves Schwarzenegger. Like we went to go see Aliens at the Frida Cinema, our cinema of choice. It was her idea to go see Aliens. Like we went and got some dinner, and then we went to the movie, and everybody's like, "Dude, why are you dragging your poor wife to go see Aliens?" And I'm like, "It was her idea. She wanted to see Aliens." You
Oh,
know?
you got one of the good ones.
Yes. And by the way, I do believe. Okay, let me ask you this real quick: Aliens or Alien? Which one is better?
Uh, I think I've only seen the first one, and that was recently. We weren't allowed to watch that growing up, so I never actually saw it. And then
So you've never seen this Aliens, the sequel to Alien?
no, because I saw that it was on Hulu recently. So, like in the last, I think 2 or 3 months, I just watched Alien for the first time.
Okay.
So the whole like through the shirt kind
Yeah,
of thing.
I'm team Aliens. I think Aliens is I enjoy Aliens
It was
more
better?
than
Okay,
oh
well
yeah.
then
It's
I need to watch that then
I
because I've
will
only
preface
seen the first
this.
one.
I will preface this because I don't want to ruin this for everybody.
There was
There
a twist in Alien that I did not see coming, and I was very upset about it.
they're two different movies.
Oh,
I
what?
will say that Alien is more in the traditional like scary pop out of nowhere and scare you type movie, while
Okay.
Aliens to me is a war movie. It is a war movie, and it's a movie that I think what surprises me, as I say to people, is that movie is very what the word I'm looking for, Amy? I'm choosing. It has a very pro feminine message in Aliens.
Yes. Okay. Then all
Um,
right. I'm in. You already had me at it might be better than the first one. And
I let me know if you do ever watch Aliens. For me, I prefer Aliens to Alien. For those of you watching, listening, let us know where you stand on the whole Alien debate. I know there's more sequels after that. I really don't care for those sequels after Aliens. To me, it's Alien and then Aliens. But Aliens,
so
it's
you like
fantastic.
plural, not singular. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
Sigourney Weaver's fantastic in that.
She's just
Are
amazing
there
in general.
any comments you want to address?
Let's see here. Let's see. David Wants a Taco also mentioned something about Kike, kind of what we've been talking about, like, what goes through his mind with the size of the contract that he's signing. And then I think was it El Cerebro had something to say about Will Smith?
Yeah, real quick on David Wants a Taco's comment about Kike. So this is what David Wants a Taco said. I'm curious if you guys like Kike taking this sort of team friendly deal with the prospect of compensating for where their contract lacks financially with the playoff pool money. So
Mhm.
I thought it was very interesting when he brought that up. So I looked up. Did you see what the playoff share was for the Dodgers in
What I
2024?
had read earlier, like they had like one of the bigger ones, I
Yeah.
believe, but also it was like less than something else, like because we talked about it on an episode. I know I have it written at the top of something, but what did you have to share on it?
Well, it was a little under a $500,000 was the playoff share. Now the
Mhm.
thing is that goes to the team, and then the team then spreads that amongst the players. So
And what they're also sharing with some of the like the staff and the guys in the clubhouse and things like that.
yeah, so the total figure was 477,440 was the pool that it was the
Mhm.
Dodgers share of that. So that then is spread, and so the Dodgers awarded a full share to 79 full shares is what the Dodgers awarded. So if everyone got the same amount, it's about 46,000. So to answer your question, David, I don't
Mm.
think 46,000 makes up for how I mean, you mentioned it when we brought up last week, Amy, how, Kershaw got $1 million more,
But he
46,000
also
to a
got in
million.
but he also got incentives too.
Yeah. So it's an interesting point what you said, David, but I
I
I
was
don't
hoping
think
for
that a
more.
playoff share I don't think a playoff share makes up for what you're losing.
I think it truly comes down to, like, how many millions are too many millions, and each player has a different threshold, and do you wanna play for a team you know is gonna go to the postseason? And, he likes being a Dodger, but I wish his playoff pool money was a little bit more to compensate for that. I like where David Wants a Taco was going with that.
No, exactly. I like where he was going with it. And also, I mean, 79, they awarded 79 full shares. Now, it also could be because the Dodgers had to use so many players to get through a regular season, but
Mm.
I applaud them for giving full shares. And I know in the article I read it, they didn't go into that, but I do believe that the team votes on who to give full shares to.
I don't know how that works in every one of them, but I think that's something that we just heard about recently when one of the players that I cannot think of just passed. And that was one of the things where the guy was like, give like even the people that they're like compensating, like give them a full share. You never know what's going to change their life.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to address Cerebro's comment. So, uh, Cerebro checked me, and you know what, Cerebro, we love that. I hope you're still watching the show because look, we're not perfect on this show. So, whenever we get checked on something, we like to refer to that as a base running blunder. So, if there's any new people to the show, base running blunders is where we correct our mistakes. So Cerebro had called me out because when we were talking about people shooting their mouth off last week on the episode, I had said, I don't want to put Amie in this, but I had said, Will Smith is boring. He never really says anything that's going to be controversial. And I totally forgot what he had said about Profar of the show pods at the time. And I get it, because and I know you're going to come in here with this, Amie, and say that Profar instigated that. And
That's actually not what I was going to say.
okay, all right.
I have something else to say, but that was not it.
I know people feel that Profar instigated the comment when Will Smith referred to Profar as Mr. Irrelevant. Whether it's harsh or not, it's still smack talk. You know, Will Smith, would you have been better off just not saying anything and just go scoreboard? Because in the end, that's what happened. And a lot of people feel like, look, you just motivated this guy. They started making shirts of Profar now that said Mr. Relevant because of the Will Smith comment of Mr. Irrelevant. So, Cerebro, thank you for keeping me honest. I appreciate that. I did forget about the fact that Will Smith had talked smack on Profar at that. I mean, either way you look at it, Amie, if someone refers to you as being irrelevant, that's smack talk.
Oh, sure. No. And there was, so I was there the day after that happened. And there, in your defense, Will Smith is typically referred to as more of like the politician. Like he's very neutral in what he says. That's probably the most inflammatory statement he's made. And Dave Vassay actually got some flack for that because some people felt that he had kind of goaded Will Smith into saying it. So, and that's not an attack.
I think that's fair.
And that's not an attack on Dave Vassay. It's not an attack on Will Smith. It just, you know what? Sometimes people just say stuff like it, you know. So he's usually pretty even keel.
I think it's your assessment of Dave Vassay, and that's in that scenario. I think
not my words. That's just what had happened at the time. There were a lot of people floating out that maybe Will Smith might not have said that, you know, in general, because he usually tends to be pretty neutral.
And it's been, I broke our streak. It had been a long time since we had a base running blunder. So my apologies.
We're human.
Amie.
We're human.
My apologies. It's spring training for me too when it comes to base running blunders. So
I just want to say that we welcome mistakes here because they're learning opportunities.
And then I want to address Candy. I think Candy might have answered at least my question, which was, why did Shohei give Dave Roberts a Porsche?
Yeah, it makes more sense now. So yeah, that's fair.
And for those who don't know, Candy let us know that Shohei gave Dave Roberts a Porsche because he had promised Roberts a Porsche if they won the World Series. So that was kind of the
working
joke
his way up, moving on up.
So before we segue into some real baseball talk, just real quick, did you see?
You left me hanging.
To a deluxe apartment in the sky. Hi.
Wow. Thanks. All right, go on. What did I see?
I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't want to. I thought it was a solo. I didn't know you wanted to make it a duet.
I was waiting for you to jump in. We always duet.
That's a damn good theme song too.
It is. All right, carry on.
No, I wanted to know if you saw that prank that Mookie and Dave Roberts pulled on Anthony Davis.
What?
Formerly of the Lakers.
No.
So Anthony Davis, formerly of the Lakers, has a prank show that's on TBS that's basically like Punk'd, but for athletes.
Oh, okay.
So they were trying to punk Mookie Betts, but it seems that Mookie Betts and so Anthony Davis was trying to get Dave Roberts to help him to punk Mookie Betts, and what they did was a little double agent. And so Mookie used Dave Roberts to punk Anthony Davis. So they are at this baseball field, and Mookie acts like he hurt himself. And so Anthony Davis is like, he's like, Mookie's doing the whole hand and wrist thing. He's like, I don't think it's, I don't know if I can move it. And then Dave Roberts is, of course, egging it on, going to Anthony Davis. Oh, AD, what did you do? Oh, AD, what did you do? And you see the camera's on Anthony Davis the whole time, and he's like dead serious. Like Anthony Davis is like, oh no, did Mookie just get hurt? Did I just ruin his season? And then Mookie gets up and is like, and then you realize that they nailed him. So I was just curious if you had seen it, because it was a phenomenal acting job by Mookie.
I had not seen it. I did see the chicken wing contest, some of the video clips. but I
Oh,
didn't.
can you give us an update on that? Who did win the chicken wing?
I have no idea. I went back through the Dodgers page and I couldn't find it, but they did do like an interview with all the players, like who they thought would win, and it was like almost unanimous Bazooka. So everybody's thinking Gratterall because he's the big
Damn,
guy. He
man.
can take him down. So yeah.
I hope Bruce Darn won. If anybody's watching or you're listening and you
I'm
know who
sure it'll
won,
be on a like behind like backstage Dodgers or whatever. Because
if
we'll
you
see.
guys know who won that contest, let us know.
Yeah. Did you see Kike and Roki's team photo picture or their photo day picture? I'll
No,
have to
I
send it
saw
to you.
Kike's individual ones. Did
Oh,
Kike do one with Roki?
yeah, he had Roki sitting on his lap.
Oh,
It almost looked like a
Step
throwback
Brothers.
to not yeah, Step Brothers, but Chase Utley, like father son.
Got it.
But yeah, I'll find it and send it to you. It's pretty funny.
All right, let's talk some baseball. So let's get things started. And a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Oh shoot, I forgot real quick before we get into baseball talk. Jose Ayala with the Rams starter jacket, even though he's a Raiders fan. I love that, Jose. You have a I
Oh,
love that you had a starter's jacket, but I'm sorry it was a Rams one.
oh
So,
my. I just sent you the picture so you can see it. Revel in all the glory of what is he 6'5"?
you know what? I did see this picture. Never mind. I did
You
see it.
oh wow. So ho hum.
Yeah, I'm just not, I feel like that's trying too hard. Look, I get it. They're trying to have fun. They're trying
Oh,
to have
fun.
fun.
Well, so check, having fun, trying too hard. Got it. Noted in my book. So if I do take you to the batting cages, no fun. Whew,
Um, I
tough
guess it
crowd.
was. I guess that what throws me off it's because it's a pitcher. It's a pitcher and a position player.
And
If
he's
it was,
super flippin' tall.
oh, that is true. The other thing about Roki is nobody realizes how big this dude is.
He's like what, 6'5", 6'7", 6 something? He's tall. Everybody's taller than me, but he's tall.
All right, well, let's get into some baseball talk because we actually have spring training games, ladies and gentlemen. We can actually talk to you about spring training games. And Amie, once I was watching these games, there was one thing I got reminded of. I love it. Yes, baseball is here. That's what spring training is all about. It's all about hope. And then I'm reminded about how spring training games sometimes really suck because it's just everybody's in there just getting their work in and then they leave, and then you have these poor guys who are just trying to make an impression, and it was not very good baseball that the
And you're like,
Dodgers have played.
who's that? Who's that? What's his name? How do you say it? Yeah.
Exactly. The Dodgers did not. I mean, they actually won at least one game this week. They won on Sunday,
Yes.
but they even those are Dave Roberts' words. Dave Roberts said, "Wow, you were keeping score in a spring training game."
The first one, but only the first couple innings. When they all left, I was like, all right, I'm done.
I was like, "This is too hard."
And scene. We saw enough in those like first 3 to 4 innings. So
Well, your initial thoughts of the spring training games, Amie?
I'm just glad it's back. Like there's been a lot of injuries, people getting like a lot of comebackers that are just going rogue. And then I know we're going to get into that later when we talk about Bobby Miller, but I don't know. It's nice to see everybody back on the field, playing baseball.
Yeah, that's really look. Before everybody's just like relax. Okay, I already saw the jokes that the Dodgers have deferred spring training wins to the regular season.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I've seen that. Uh, it is you have to watch these games with
These are the stress-free games. These are the ones you get to relax through.
like I think to me the more interesting things were like Yamamoto got his work in, and a lot of these guys are getting their work done not in front of the camera. They're getting on
Mhm.
the backfields there. They're getting ready. So when everybody's like, "Oh, they're playing like crap," look, a lot of those pitchers that got hit are pitchers that you're not going to see in the regular season. It's also the beginning of the season, but I do. It
Well, even
was not.
Roki, he may be in a Cactus League game as far as I mean, that's been kind of day to day, or he might be starting out in like a minor league game. They might hybrid him or something.
Well, yeah, from what I heard is last I heard, unless you have an update on this, Dave Roberts says Roki's maybe going to do a backfield He's
Yeah,
going to
they're
pitch in
saying,
a
like, he's gonna
backfield.
pitch with the minor leaguers on the back.
Yeah.
Or it could be in a game. We don't know. We don't know.
Look, for me, really the only two pitchers that matter at this point are Yamamoto and Roki, because those are the ones that need to be ready for the Tokyo series. So as long as those guys are getting their work in, the rest of these guys, look, it was nice to see Tony Gonsolin go out there and pitch, and he pitched. He looked fine. I get it. This is the first outing. I'm not going to sit here and overreact to everything, but
I mean, you can, but it's not gonna do anything for you.
well, I think one of the real positive ones were, did you see Dustin May?
I watched it later, yeah. So
So for me, it's not the way Dustin May pitched. For me, the story was Dustin May coming off the mound and his reaction, and
mhm.
no
Just
matter
covering his face with the glove.
exactly. And it was one of those things that they did a really good job. I mean, we heard it over and over again on the telecast. This guy 18 months ago was he was coming back, and just when he was ready to come back from his second Tommy John, he had you heard the story about his esophagus and what he needed to get surgery for?
I knew that it was an esophageal tear because of salad, but at the time we didn't really have more details. So hearing that the piece of lettuce went down and made like an inch by inch, like L-shaped incision at the bottom of his esophagus, and he didn't want to go to the doctor, and then his wife kind of like, hey, let's go to the doctor, and then all of a sudden he's having surgery. Like now I'm chewing my salad very, very carefully lately.
Well, the moral of the story that I took away from that is stop eating salad, guys. Like,
That's such a male response.
salad is so dangerous. Look, I could end up in the hospital or getting surgery because
I
of
had
what
salad twice today, and it was delicious. I ate it for you. I'm balancing us out. Look, that's an average right there.
Yeah, so I thought Dustin May coming back was nice, and
148 days since his last game.
yeah. I mean, it almost looks like, well, where's this guy going to pitch? Like, is he going to even have a spot? Look, this is just the beginning of spring training, so we're going to see how he progresses. Another person that I thought it was nice to see today, at the time we are recording this, it's Monday, and the Dodgers lost again to the Rojos. But Tyler Glasnow pitched today,
I
and
haven't gotten to catch up on that yet.
he
So
gave up a 2-run home run. He only pitched one inning. He gave the first two batters. He looked great. He really looked great. And then he gave up a base hit to De La Cruz, and then he gave up a home run. But
more
again,
importantly, how was he feeling afterwards?
he says he feels great. Now, one of the things that was really interesting was he only pitched a little over 100 innings last year, and that was a career high. So as you're watching him and you're seeing how well he's pitching, for me, Amie, it's always in the back of the head, but can this dude stay healthy? Can he stay healthy?
Well, that's the risk they took when they signed him.
Yeah. When they signed him to a 5-year, real quick, signed him
Yeah.
to a 5-year deal. So we're going to see more and more people make their debut actually in spring training. I believe Dave Roberts gave us updates, right, Amie, on when other people will be making their debut.
Let's see. So Glasnow was today. Tomorrow should be Blake Snell. And then Roki is either Tuesday or Wednesday. We've also seen Sheehan throwing off the mound, so he threw Saturday. Shohei's expected to play in spring training games by the end of the month as a DH, but still not really expected back before May on the mound. And then Kopech he threw a bullpen, and Evan Phillips as well. He had his first bullpen on Friday. Opening day is in fact off the table, but he's not too far behind schedule. So
what I heard was that the Unicorn may be making his spring training debut Friday.
Okay.
Federico is from Dave Roberts as of this morning on Monday that Federico would be playing Thursday at the earliest, and I believe Will Smith is either Wednesday or Thursday. So that's the other thing about watching these spring training games is
you don't even have a full squad.
Yeah, a lot of these guys haven't even started playing. A lot of the regulars that you're going to see haven't even started playing yet. So
yeah. Freeman's still progressing. He just started his running progression, actually. So, and then Will Smith had that right ankle injury. And even Dave was saying last week, basically, he thinks it did impact his season, being able to hold ground, unable to get inside, on the ball. And Will Smith will never use that as an excuse, but, playing injured sucks. Like I hit for 2 days and all the muscles around my core, like coughing, laughing, everything. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not even injured. How do
So
these guys do it?
what is your softball nickname? So on the back of your jersey, what do they put?
I always just had my last name, Cuevas. I didn't.
So are we going to have pretty soon the amazing tales of Cuevas? Are we going to have a
Sure. I
segment of the
mean,
amazing tales of Cuevas?
well, let's go to the cages first and we'll figure that out. And then, if a nickname finds itself, we'll see. Maybe I'll have La Reina on the back.
There we go. There we go. I like that. Like I said, the Dodgers have been losing every day in spring training. Now, we have been able to see some of these young kids that we've been hearing about. For example, Zaire. Zaire.
Who we saw last year when we went to Rancho Cucamonga for my birthday in the rain.
Not only that, but I will say this: Zaire looks like he's put on some muscle. Like he looks pretty strong.
Did you see that catch the first day? What was it, Thursday? Like up
Yeah.
against the fence? I was like, good job, Zaire Hope.
Yeah, so Zaire seems to be getting a lot of action out there. You know who else is put on weight and he's not all skin and bones anymore? Is Josue de Paula.
Oh,
Like he's still
okay.
like skinny. I still feel like he's skinny, but it's just a reminder for me how far away these guys are from actually making it, because I don't even feel like they've developed into their bodies yet.
Well, they're kids. They're
Yeah,
like,
exactly. They're really, really young.
yeah. We got to see. I always get his name wrong. Gauthier.
Gauthier.
Yeah, is it Gauthier? Is it Gautier? I hear never. I think it's Gauthier.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
we
you
saw
might
him
be right.
last year.
I've heard Neverett say that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh well, Tim Neverett said. I'm like Gotham, and then try to figure like another word to associate it with. Got to see him. Fiducia had a great day the other day. I think he went 3 for 3
against the Royals. He had himself a home run. Good old Fiducia, and his reward, he'll be starting the season in the minors, ladies and gentlemen. So,
well, that's what happens when you're impacted with a whole bunch of catchers. So Austin Barnes isn't going anywhere. Austin Barnes actually got a couple hits this weekend.
You say that, you're so shocked that Austin Barnes actually hit.
No, he's doing good. Like I think they were even talking about that on the broadcast, that it's hard to be a backup catcher, not get the consistency, and then come in and have your bat be hot. So
yeah. It's can we talk about the Bobby Miller thing?
Are you ready to transition to that?
Or do you have anything else that you want to add about spring training? About the actual games?
I don't think so.
It's just hard for me to talk about these spring training games when it's just, first of all, they're getting smoked. I mean, it's just not good baseball when you're giving up double digits. It's just not fun to watch these guys get hammered out there. And also,
just don't look at the score. Don't look at the score.
Yeah. And also, it's just hard. This is, again, look, if you've never drank, by the way, if you've never been to spring training, I've said this before, you should just go out there for the experience of being in that facility. The Dodgers do have a very great facility that they share with the White Sox. But I've always had this belief, and it was just reminded of it at the start of the spring training. It's like, why am I going to go spend money on spring training when I can use those funds to watch games during the regular season that count, where people are actually trying and they're not out there just getting their work in?
I see. I think everybody has a different mentality. Like I like going out there just because it's like it's the official kickoff of the season. Even if it's just for a couple days, or like going out, seeing a game or two, and then coming home. Like, I don't know. It's magical.
And that's what I'm saying. It is a different experience being there live in person than watching it on TV.
Oh, for sure.
If you've never been to spring training, you should definitely go out there. It's just tough for us to watch it on TV.
Oh, yes.
Whew.
Yeah. And I will say this. So
Yes.
Eddie Rosario was the first Dodger to get a home run in spring training.
That's right,
So,
and he
and
got
that was
another hit today, actually.
Did he?
So it's going to be interesting because Dave Roberts has said that he's going to try to give Chris Taylor as many at bats as he can. I'm very curious. There's a couple of guys that are on non-roster invitees that if they are
Like
hitting
Bodie?
consistently, exactly, Bodie and Rosario, those are
Mhm.
the two names that if those guys have good springs, and we're seeing the same thing out of Chris Taylor, like what is going to happen there? Because I was under the assumption that's it. Look, I am convinced that Outman and Bacchus are starting in the minor leagues this year. And Andy Bacchus is not doing himself any favors by jogging out in the outfield after balls in play.
Oh, wow.
It's just not really. It's not doing him any favors. We saw that last year, and you chalked it up to, hey, this guy's a rookie. I just really hope this is not developing a habit when it's just like, hey,
We don't
buddy.
need another Johnny Hustle. Like, we
There
just
we go.
no, we
So
don't need that.
I'm curious. I'm really curious to see the spring trainings that Rosario and Bodie have. If
Mhm.
that's going to change anything, or like maybe this all works itself out in the end. Rosario and Bodie cool off. They don't have a spring.
I'm sure they love you saying that.
Well, it's just like I said, going into this, I was like, no, they are committed to Chris Taylor. They obviously could not trade him in the offseason. They're gonna start the season with Chris Taylor and then go from there. But you mentioned it, Rosario hit a home run. He got another hit today. Bodie got a hit today. Those are players with major league experience.
Mhm.
And in the end, it is a competition. It is about contributing, especially if I feel right now, and maybe it's because of the early start to spring training, that the Dodger players themselves may have a slow start to the season because it seems like everybody's behind schedule.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of them did show up early, and you heard from some of them saying, like, they have been getting their work in. But I think, like, any start to the season, like, it takes a second to ramp up, like, I mean, just remember that when I do take you to the cages. I'm gonna expect to see you hitting, you know, at 400 right out the gate. I don't want a warm-up period at
I'm
all.
I'm just letting you know, once a crowd starts gathering behind my cage, you need to be
Oh,
prepared to deal with that.
I
Okay,
planned to just rope it off. So, like, I've got
please.
the logistics planned out.
I
We're
hope
not
you have.
accepting autographs, none of that.
This is where I hope that your crowd control experience comes into
Oh,
effect.
He's gonna be bodyguard. We got this.
Oh, whatever. He's the real Thanos over there. That guy, he wins softball championship after softball championships. There we go. Shout out to him. All
Okay. All right.
right.
That
And
song. Ugh.
any
All
other
right. Well,
spring
we're gonna have a
training?
baseball family field trip, and then we'll report back.
There we go. Any other spring training updates?
Just in that first game, Bobby Miller getting drilled in the third inning, facing his second batter. Did you watch it happen in
I
real
was watching.
time?
So I was watching it live,
Same.
and so
I
two
was on
things.
lunch eating my snacks, and I was like, oh, oh.
They were like he had already gotten into a jam. Okay, he was already in a jam, and I know there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of people that are rooting for Bobby Miller that are thinking, man, if Bobby Miller can work things out, I mean it's a huge ace in the hole for the Dodgers to be able to have that guy if that guy returns to form.
Mhm.
However, he'd already had gotten in a jam when that ball hit him. I was like, I didn't want to say he was dead, but I was just like,
Oh my god.
wow.
Juan,
Well, because it hit him, it was 106 miles per hour off the bat.
I
And
don't know how
I
these
thought,
people survive getting hit. Like,
well,
I think was it somebody who said it was either online or in the broadcast. I don't want to get hit by a 4 mile per hour ball. Like, what are we doing?
well, that's why when I saw the replay, I initially when it hit him, I thought it hit him in the temple. And that's why I
Mm,
was like, if that hit him flush in the temple, he's gonna have serious problems, right?
yeah.
So when he got up to one knee, I was like, is this guy just like a superhero or something?
He
It's just like,
superhuman.
yeah. And then so when you see, and this is how crazy it is, Amy, when you see the replay and it seems like it hit him more on the forehead than
Yeah.
the temple. It's
Yeah, it
just
got him, like, on the well, no, the right side, so it got him, like, right in here, like, so above the eyebrow, but not quite the temple, like, it was more full on.
it pays off to be hard-headed, man. I mean, that's
His hat flew, didn't it? It was like
oh yeah. I mean, it was so scary. It was so scary to see it. And so
he
I'm
even
glad that
said he's seen them comebackers head his way and miss him, and you usually see it in, like, slow motion, so it's like, "Duh," and this one just, like,
I mean,
he tried to
this
get his glove up, and there was no time.
106 miles per hour. It's a line drive.
I don't
And
even drive that fast. Can you imagine?
exactly. So I'm glad that he was able to, walk off the field under his own power. But and now that he's okay, and the next day they asked him, and he said he was feeling fine. He was still under concussion protocol. And I don't even know if they've cleared him yet to go back to baseball activities.
He was supposed to be oh man, I think I saw something this morning where he was gonna be I tried to grab it before I started work. It is nope, I think that was a Freddie Freeman thing. But I believe he was either gonna be throwing potentially today or this week. So give me a second and I'll find it. Oh,
So once I found out that he was okay, then I came to this conclusion that he's going to start the season in the minor leagues. I think this is going to put him behind schedule, where even if he was pitching well, I based on this, I think this is just a setback. You have to I think with concussions, you can't mess around. You have
it's
to
too scary.
yeah.
Dave Vasse posted this morning that Bobby Miller told him he'd be throwing for the first time since being hit last week. And then Bill Plunkett had posted that Miller had gone through his concussion system. Wow. His concussion symptoms had gone away. He spent time in a mortal recovery chamber, including red light
Wow.
treatment, and his headache went away. So he's going to be playing catch during the workout today. I don't know what a mortal recovery chamber is. I'm not familiar with that, but
And I'm going to be paying more attention now to Dustin May and see how Dustin May's spring is, because I feel now we have Yamamoto, you have Glass now, you have Blake Snell, you have Roki, you have Gonsolin.
mhm.
Now, will Roki, after he pitches in Japan, will he continue to be a part of the rotation? I don't know, but you have 5 starters there. If they go to 6, is it Dustin May? Is it Bobby Miller? That's why now, before I wasn't really sure where Dustin May's role on this team lied, and now watching this, I'm watching this Bobby Miller thing. I just think this pushes Bobby Miller back now.
I
So
mean,
I would not be
it
surprised if Bobby Miller starts the season in the minors.
I mean, the whole situation is scary. The fact that he's able to even get back out and catch so quickly, like, there's got to be some kind of head trash about or maybe what, maybe he doesn't have any of that. Like maybe there is no fear, like, what, I just need to get back on the horse and try it again, or I don't know. I think I'd still be a little hesitant of like, oh God, especially because it just happened again. It was yesterday, wasn't it? That the other pitcher got hit. Cole.
The Padre, the show pods pitcher.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was on Sunday that he got hit.
Yeah. And he actually he got a fracture. Like, let's see. He sustained facial fractures, and his was about 106 miles per hour or around there.
Ay, Dios mío.
Too many of these.
Look, I am glad that games are back. I am, because that means we're just closer to actual real games counting. But it is one of those things right now where everybody's just putting in their work. As I said, we still have players that haven't even played yet. Yes.
Mhm. So I'm curious. Bobby Miller did say that he'd watched the video like 100 times, but in the past, if anybody had gotten hit, he would never look at anything like that because he basically didn't want to put it out in the universe. If you got hit, would you watch it? Would you want to see it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Would you watch it once and then like, or would
Maybe.
you?
I would, but I also feel I have a very obsessive personality that I would become consumed with it. Like I would watch it over and over to be like, oh, I came that close to death because I'm telling you.
Would you have like the yarn like what is it? All
But
the
it
pictures
also
and
might
diagrams of angles.
But it also might be a psychological thing, Amy, where if you watch it over and over again, maybe that's how you deal with the fear. Because I remember in Little League, pre Michiro.
Oh,
These are
okay.
the Amazing Tales of pre Michiro. I got
Okay.
hit in the eye, and I got a black eye from a baseball, and I was scared. I was scared going in to hit from that point on, and it took me a good. This happened towards the end of a season. I don't think I fully recovered my confidence until the next season going in there. And my coaches all knew, like the way I was approaching balls, they all knew I was afraid, you know?
Ooh.
And
I mean, I get it. I played shortstop a couple games and we were down some players and I took one right to the shoulder and right before it hopped, it was going to hit like right in my face. And it was like I was that close. Like I just the stuff that these guys deal with, I don't think I could do it. Like that's the cages. I'm just going to go to the cages.
so, I mean, maybe that's why he watched it over and over again, is it helps him deal with, because, yeah, you go back on the mound, what's the first thing you're thinking of? Am I going to get another line drive off my face? Yeah.
No.
So maybe that's why, but maybe there's other people that are take the other point of view that you just said, where I don't need to see that again. I don't want that in my head. I
Mhm.
don't want to constantly in the back of my head, is this the time when I throw this pitch? Is this the one that's going to hit me in the face again? So
I think it's something where I'd have to be in the situation to know. I would like to think that I would wanna see it, but to your point, I don't depends on how bad it is. Like, I mean, even seeing, like wasn't it Justin Turner a couple years ago that got hit in the face?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that just brutal. Ugh.
yeah. It's very brutal. Any other Dodger spring training notes, Amy?
Um, no. I'm sure if something comes up, I'm sure we'll chat it out.
All right, can we talk about this ABS? I know you've been
We're
talking
talking
about
about breaks?
it's breaks. Did I just call it by the wrong name? Isn't it called?
I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
all
I'm
right.
totally messing with you.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, did I mess up?
No,
All
I
right.
think
What is the official name of this? This is the
the automated ball strike system.
okay, the automated ball strike system. Okay,
Mhm.
so the Dodgers are using they were using it at Camelback Ranch because it's a combined facility. I was watching the game today. The Rojos and the Guardians have a shared facility. However,
Oh, yeah, Terry Francona was like,
yeah, Terry
"Mm-mm."
Francona, and you know what? I have to say, I think it makes sense. His argument of what's the point? I mean, we can't use it during the regular season, so why am I going to have guys worrying about something that we're not going to practice during the regular season?
But what do you have to worry about?
You don't have to worry about any. I guess what it is maybe there's one way of doing it. And okay, so the initial reaction when it happened, because it happened in the very first inning of that first game, they
It
were
was it
already
was
challenging
it was like
strikes.
when it happened, it was like, "Oh my god, we're getting to see it." And it was the one person who Dave Roberts said was not allowed to use the challenge system. Granted, he didn't call the challenge, so he still fell in line, but it was just interesting the irony there.
Wait, who was the one that he said was not allowed to use the challenge system?
Max Muncy. Dave Roberts explicitly said he was the only one who couldn't use it
What was the rationale behind that?
because he always argues.
Oh, but that's every player. But okay, yeah. So the Cubs catcher, or what? No, it was the Cubs pitcher, was the one who called the challenge on that one.
They challenged the strike call and then it was overturned
All
for a
right. So
ball.
correct me if I'm wrong. The way this works is they all look at the big screen, the jumbotron, and they show it there, and that's how the decision is made.
Mm, sure, in some universes. No, they actually use a set of cameras around the field. Those track the pitch locations, and it allows the players on the field to challenge at that point. So they're Hawkeye cameras. So the pitcher, the catcher, or the player can like tap their head to signal to the umpire to do it. They're going to flash the visual, but the visual itself is really just to let everybody know, hey, something's being challenged. And then as they put that up, you're going to see, like, I think the second call, it was a ball and it was like, what, 1.6, or it was a couple inches
So
off the plate.
that's my question is,
Yes.
it's not going to be someone's going to buzz down to the umpire and tell him, hey, we all going to look at the big screen, the jumbotron, and we can
Mhm.
clearly see whether it was a ball or a strike.
And I
That's
believe
how it's going to work.
and they showed it from 2 angles. So like when you saw Max Muncy's, they showed the back angle of the ball coming in, and you saw it was a little bit above the strike zone at the bottom. And then they flipped it, and then you saw it kind of coming through, and then you saw, oh yeah, it's, it clearly hit the bottom of the zone.
So I saw later on in the game, Andy Pajes did it. I know one of our loyal listeners, Oscar, had sent me a message saying, how do you think this umpire feels? There's already been 4 calls that have proven him wrong when it comes to balls and strikes. I will say this. I don't have an issue with it. I don't think it was too time consuming. I thought it was pretty straightforward. My daughter came home and was absolutely furious. She hates it. She
Really?
absolutely hates it. She was just like, what is the point of this? Why is everything becoming like, her argument is that this is becoming too technical, that we are relying too much on technology, and it's no longer the players on the field that are
So
determining.
she's anti Skynet.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think she's even seen the Terminator movies. But
Oh.
it's funny because she said that, and then Clinton Yates of ESPN. I don't know if you saw this. Did you see his argument?
Tell me, it was a really busy weekend.
He was against it. He's against the ABS because he feels that it then diminishes the role of the catcher. That if you basically have an electronic system that's going to call balls and strikes, that framing is no longer it's a lost art at that point, because it doesn't matter whether you frame a pitch or not, because if someone challenges it, we're going to go off of the technology.
But you only get 2 challenges. So it's not like you're able to challenge every single one.
Well, if you keep winning,
well,
if you keep
yeah,
winning
but
your challenges.
I mean,
I just
sure.
found it interesting that he
Mhm.
took this angle, that it's also
And they brought that up last year when we were talking about this. So it's not new. It's not a new angle.
the relationship between a catcher and an umpire when it comes to calling a game. And my thing is just like, I get that, but then also, shouldn't the strike zone be universal? Shouldn't a strike be a strike regardless of who the umpire is? And I get it. We've had this years of baseball where, I think Tom Glavine is a Hall of Famer because umpires gave him the outs of the plate, and they kept going further and further if they didn't give him the outside of the plate, I don't know how effective as a pitcher Tom Glavine would be. Maybe that's going too far. Maybe that's because he is a Hall of Famer and all that stuff. But getting the outside corner is huge. And if we are now going to a system where an umpire is not going to have that same leeway of giving you a pitch a foot outside the plate, making it an egregious call, is that necessarily a bad thing? Shouldn't that be a strike is a strike regardless of who is behind the plate?
I don't understand the complaints. Like, Haley aside, I get where she's coming from, but like, I just don't understand, because these are the same people who complain about the game ended on the wrong call and now the other team people are unhappy with the state of calls from umpires. You've got the umpire scorecard on Twitter. Like, people are watching this. They want a way to check and balance that system. Now we have something. It's not very intrusive at all. It doesn't take a lot of time. It also doesn't take the umpire out of the game. It's almost like a hybrid, so that you have the best of both. And now people are unhappy with this. And it's like, okay, well, what is the better solution then? What is the solution?
Did Major League Baseball create a problem that they didn't have by doing this?
I feel like there have been some egregious calls, and we saw, whether it's just us having more information over the last couple of years, we've definitely seen some things where it's just like, what are we doing? I'm all, you know me, I'm kind of a traditionalist when it comes to this stuff. I actually like the ABS system. I think it gives a little bit more consistency. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with drink. I don't have an issue with it.
And I may change my opinion. We are able to do that, but for right now, where I stand right now, I like it until we get more information.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. I'm just surprised that there are people out there actually out there that don't like it. That to me, I'm very curious to see what the umpires think about it, because I'm sure that umpire, to get 4 calls, immediately being like, no, you were wrong on all 4 of them. But then again, it's like you said, we have that report card, that umpire's report card. If you're watching a telecast, you have the technology on there that's already telling you this
Mhm.
guy's strike zone is all over the place. So
You've got frustrated players that it changes the dynamic of the game too, because we already had that stat last year that Mookie was one of the leaders in getting wrong calls. And so how are you even supposed to hit when you're trying to hit a ball that's going like faster than hell? You're trying to gauge that pitch, and then on top of it, somebody's calling the location in the wrong place. So now I've got to worry about where this new make-believe strike zone is. Like, I just feel like this gives the players an opportunity to actually play the game and focus on something that's really hard to do. By the way, that's all the reason. The other reason I go to the batting cages, it's to keep myself humble when I'm yelling at the TV and remember that hitting is hard. Hitting is very hard for these guys. Why would we not want to do something that helps them to do that better?
No, absolutely. Anything else on the ABS before we move on?
No, I mean, I think we've covered pretty much everything on it. I'm curious what our listeners think about it. Are they for it, especially considering 60% of the spring training games are going to be using it? I mean, aside from Terry Francona and the Reds, but
I want to move on to the next topic because Major League Baseball. Well, actually, no, ESP. Well, it's supposed to be mutual, if you believe that. So
it was mutual, but one did it first and the other said, "Me too."
So Major League Baseball and ESPN have mutually opted out of their TV contract. So this is the last year that we're going to have baseball on ESPN. Amie, your initial thoughts on that?
Oh darn.
So you're not, you're not. It doesn't ruffle it, because I will say this. I know we have been critical of Manfred on this show, but did you hear or read his comments on why they, at least Major League Baseball, had decided to opt out of their TV deal?
There were many. Initially, he said that they were not pleased with the minimal coverage that the MLB had received on ESPN's platform over the past several years outside of the actual live game coverage.
That's the one to me that I think is fair. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that, because look, I've been watching when ESPN, I remember when ESPN first got Major League Baseball. And my favorite show, I would always tell people, like kids, was
In
Baseball
1990?
Tonight. Yeah, it was Baseball Tonight. I loved Baseball Tonight. And it seemed like that network truly, devoted a lot of coverage to baseball. Now, to be fair, since then, I do watch a lot less ESPN. But it does seem to me that ESPN was not giving a lot of coverage, at least not the same amount of coverage that it gives to the NBA, to the NFL.
And that's literally what he said. So, ESPN was due to pay the MLB $550 million for each of the next 3 years before this mutual opt-out. ESPN was saying that it was way above the current market value, and Manfred countered with, "We don't think it's beneficial for us to accept a smaller deal to remain on a shrinking platform." He was able to cite reasons for that, though. He was saying that the Sunday Night Baseball ratings were up 6% in 2024 from the prior year. The 2024 MLB Wild Card was the most watched ever. It averaged about 2.8 million viewers per game, so that was up from 25% from 2023. And the Home Run Derby is one of the highest rated skill competitions in any pro league. With that in mind, knowing whoever ends up getting that contract going forward, these are highly rated slots. he was just saying that overall the male female ratio on ESPN is about 73-27, but when MLB is on ESPN, aside from other sports, it's 68-32. So there's growth in women actually outpacing men this year when MLB is on the ESPN, which I thought was cool. And the Hispanic audience on ESPN is about 10% above most other sports on their platform. So just other things that they're able to cite, outside of, in December, the ESPN was in 53.6 million homes. That's down. So 2011, they had 100 million homes. It was 69 million in 2021. So they've consistently been going down every year in coverage. So if he is saying that it's a shrinking platform, these numbers, at least that they're providing in this capacity, do kind of illustrate that.
Again, we have been critical of Manfred on this show, but we need
Who are
to
they
give him
going to
his
get
credit.
to replace it?
Well, that to me is the big conversation, right? And we've already seen it because they've already reached out. You have games on Apple, you have games on YouTube, you have games on Roku. This is all pointing to baseball is going to be on streaming. And so if people are pissed that they can't watch their games now, just wait until now they no longer have ESPN as a TV partner. Like they still have Fox, but if people, this is one of the tricky things that I think all sports has to deal with, because the NFL did this also. You have Amazon, you have games on Peacock, you have games on Netflix. If you need that many things to be able to watch a sport, the consumer might be like, yeah, don't make me work this hard to be able to watch something. You need to make it easy for me. That's where your success. Make it easy for me to watch my games. Don't do this to me.
Well, and I
And
think that's where they're going to have that catch-22, because all of the growth that they're experiencing, I'm of that mentality. Like, if you're going to make me have multiple different streaming services just to watch this game, I'm going to get frustrated eventually to the point of just throwing my hands up. Like, because that's not the best way. So you can't do it where teams have their own channel. We don't like that. We also don't like it to have multiple streaming services. So like there's got to be a better way.
At this point, I think if they do pursue this streaming avenue aspect of it, they have given up on baseball being a national sport. They really have, because for me, if you're going to go to these individual streaming, it makes the sport even more regional than it already is.
But that's
I'm only going
unfortunate
to
for the
care.
fan too, because the fan now, even just to access your own teams, you've got to have how many different platforms?
Right. But like I already only care about the Dodgers. So
Mhm.
if you are going to make everything on a stream, I'm never going to go watch the Yankees. I'm not going to watch the Cubs. I'm not going to watch other teams because you're
Right.
making it too hard for me to go watch
No,
other teams.
I agree with that, but then you're also making it very hard for me to watch my team, and I don't appreciate that either. Like, if I have to jump through hoops just to watch my team after you've already made it so regional, taken away that national aspect of it, like, what are we doing?
I think what everyone would love to see, and I'm very curious if they decide to go this route, now that they are opting out of this deal with ESPN. Every fan I know, all they want is end the blackouts. End the blackouts. And I'm curious if they did that, how many people would subscribe to MLB TV and get, because with MLB TV, if anybody's not familiar with it, there are options where you can just pick one team and you will get all that team's games, or you can get the whole package, right?
Mhm.
If they remove the blackouts, because again, those who aren't familiar with MLB TV, if I pick the Dodgers and I only want to see Dodger games, I can't watch Dodger games on MLB TV because they're blacked out. And I know Spectrum doesn't want, to end blackouts because Spectrum wants you to go pay for Spectrum to go see Dodger games. But in the end, I think you have to think what's best for everyone, the whole league. If you truly want to make this a national sport that has a national following, I think the way you do that is you end the blackouts and you make that package to watch every baseball game affordable, and to the point where I can go on MLB TV and I can watch any game I want.
I don't disagree. That's the frustrating thing. When I lived in Northern California, I could watch all of the Dodger games except when they played like in the Bay Area or if it was a bigger game. I mean, until you can get some kind of parity there, I think potentially your viewership is going to suffer. And that's unfortunate because there should be a better way. Stop wasting time on think tanks for golden at bats and actually turn it to something that matters like viewership. Put your time and energy into solving this problem because having 4 or 5 different streaming services carrying games, not only does it make it confusing to tune in, but it makes it a hassle whether I get a free account or I have to get a free trial and then later on in the season when they play now I've got to pay for it. Like don't you're making fans jump through too many hoops.
Yeah. So I think this is a big deal. I think this is a very, very big deal. It's pointing at baseball going towards a streaming. I'm very curious to see where they go from there. I'm secretly hoping they will end blackouts. If they did, I will gladly subscribe to MLB TV. I'll do it. But I'm curious to see what they're going to do there because there's going to be a bunch of owners that aren't going to be happy if you start impacting their TV.
I'm curious how much they would charge though for MLB TV at that point. Like do they keep it at a comparable rate to what it is now or does that become exorbitant? Do you pay like a monthly instead of an annual or?
I think they would probably do what all these other streaming services do. They give you a very interesting low rate to get you in, and then they start increasing it and bleed you to death.
Right. Outstanding.
I mean, it's what the whole cable war was about, Amie. It's just like all we wanted is let me just pay for the channels that I want. Give me a la carte, and they go away from it. And now what happens? All these streaming are all a la carte, and you end up paying more than what you were paying in for cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's
I think Netflix is going up right now too.
Yeah, it's the war on the poor. It's the war on the poor. Do you anything else on the TV contract before we move on to the next topic?
No, I don't think so.
So stop the presses, ladies and gentlemen. The Yankees of Nueva York have done something. Amie, what did they do?
They changed their policy on facial hair. So Hal Steinbrenner put out a memo that he had spoken to current and former players spanning several eras for feedback on their facial hair and grooming policy. So I guess the conversations date back several years, and they have decided to amend their expectations to allow players and uniform personnel to have well-groomed beards going forward. They feel like it's the appropriate time to move beyond familiar comfort of the former policy, which poor Phil Bickford, it wasn't done in time.
Not only Phil Bickford, but do you remember who the Yankees of New York acquired in the offseason? This was a big get. This was a player that I was hoping the Dodgers would actually get.
Go for it.
The Airbender, Devin Williams of the
Yes.
Milwaukee Brewers. And if you are familiar with his appearance, he had a very luscious beard.
Oh,
And
luscious even.
He had to
Did you have
shave
beard
that.
envy?
I did. I do have it because I have the Keanu beard where it's all patchy,
Okay.
and I keep seeing that commercial. They keep it, oh, if you have a patchy beard, it's not a real beard. So it's just I feel attacked every time I'm watching it.
Who said screw those people?
I got beard oil and it still doesn't work for me. I still grow in patches. But so Devin Williams had to shave his beard. And now they make the announcement, hey, we're going to let people have facial hair.
You know what? I take it back, though, because it's just the facial hair. It's not the hair. So Phil Bickford would have suffered regardless.
It's just beards. It's just
yeah,
allowing
it's
them
not.
to grow
It's
beards.
not the hair. Like they can't have the luscious locks still. So
it's so antiquated. I mean, I'm actually surprised that they got away with it as long as they did. I
really,
mean, yeah, because it's like, come on, man. It's just like, let these guys just be who they are. Why would you?
some people argued it because I saw like different little skits online. Like some people argued, well, for the sake of the tradition, just keep it. And then other people were like, just change it. Like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we continuing to do it?
Yeah, I just don't see the reason why you had to have that rule in place.
I mean, people even cited the whole like, Yankees, I'm blanking, but Red Sox, like how the Red Sox would have their like burly beards.
Yeah.
And New York would have to be like clean
It,
shaven.
it's just one of those things where for me it's like, hey, we want everybody to be the same, and it's a suppression of personality that I just I don't fly with. I don't like it. You know, in a sport where we're begging for personality, we want, you
Yeah.
know, to
Let
have
me
some.
have my patchy beard.
Yeah, it's like the no fun league. It just it's like when
Whoa,
David
whoa,
Stern.
wait. We're allowed to have fun now? Because I thought we
Exactly.
weren't having fun.
Like when David Stern was trying to make everybody wear suits and when they were traveling in the NBA, and it's just like is really pick and choose our battles. This is where we're spending our energy on. So
So I guess I know where you stand on this.
yeah, let him grow a beard. I mean, they had so many characters in the '70s that were allowed to do all that stuff, and then all of a sudden Steinbrenner just got a bug up his ass and was just like, "Hey, no more beards. That's it. I'm drawing the line on beards. Beards is just too much. I can't handle beards."
He would have died with Charlie Blackman.
Maybe it was Steinbrenner had the same problem as I did. Maybe Steinbrenner grew a patchy beard, and because of that, he was like, "If I can't grow a beard, no one can grow a beard."
So
Yeah,
it was like beard envy, but also like beard narcissism. I don't even
yeah,
know. I don't
beard
even know
envy.
what you call that.
Yeah, I think beard envy is the correct term.
That's unfortunate. All these years, all
It
these
is.
deprived.
Anything else on the facial hair rules for the Yankees before we go on to our next topic?
No, I mean it's going to be harder for some of those people who can't grow beards. Like, what if they feel the pressure now?
I
Oh
know.
gosh.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked. We're gonna
Well, put some more
wrap up.
beard oil on. Put some more beard oil on. You're fine.
It was like snake oil. I was totally got swindled buying that beard
It's
oil,
it's
and it was like
really
a
it's really
monthly.
coconut oil.
Yeah, it was like a monthly thing, and I'm like, nah, my beard's not even coming any thicker. What's the point of this? All right, we're gonna go back to Manfredi as we wrap things up on the show. So we had our segment on the show where we said nice things about Manfredi. Now we're gonna go back to the way we normally are. Amie.
Yeah, because life is all about balance, right? So there was a Cactus League media day last Tuesday, and he was asked about the payroll disparity between like the Dodgers and the rest of the sport. And so the quote has already gone around all over the place. The Dodgers have gone out and done everything possible, always within the rules that currently exist, to put the best possible team on the field. I think it's a great thing. That type of competitive spirit is what people want to see. Um, and when he was asked about like the disparity between the actual teams, he said a league where one team has 400 million in payroll and another with 70 million is a problem. But did you notice how he says they always played within the rules that currently exist? I feel like he's doing what we've already alluded to. You've brought it up a couple times. He's setting it up with the rules that currently exist so that they can change them. And I think I had sent you that clip. I think it was Nick Castellanos. He was talking about like if a team didn't make the playoffs for 8 years, they would have to go up for public auction. If you still wanted to keep that team, even though you didn't make it, you could attempt to outbid the public auction, whatever, if you really wanted to stay with it. But he was saying that that'd be a cool way to keep the game of baseball alive. You know, it's more geared toward winning. Obviously, we know that's probably not going to happen. I've suggested something similar, like if they don't want to win, they should have to sell it. But I think I texted you. Isn't that kind of similar to like relegation in soccer? You're more of the
Yeah,
soccer aficionado than I am.
yes, that's it. I love relegation. I think the NBA should adopt relegation. I would love to see Major League Baseball adopt relegation. That to me, I wouldn't go as far as Nick Castellanos with forcing a team to sell, but to
I
me,
know you shut me down pretty quickly too in my theoretical.
that seems a little like that. That's too far. But for me, relegation,
Really,
it
McCourt?
it's about the shame. It's about.
Hmm.
Could you imagine if the Dodgers, if the Yankees, if the Medias Rojas, the Cachorros, if they ever got relegated? Like that gives you the incentive of like we need to get better and we need to get better fast. And
Hmm.
so I know it's a pipe dream because I think the players union would never allow relegation
No.
because now you're going to get into that whole well, if you're technically not a part of Major League Baseball, does that mean like how do salaries work? How do it does open a can of worms, but the concept of relegation where it rewards the people that are consistently winning and
Mhm.
for lack of a better word, I don't want to say punish those, but there are
It
consequences
lights a
for you
fire
not
under their
trying.
butt.
Yeah, there's consequences for you not going out there. And because that's the other thing. Look, I know we're beating this story you're like a dead horse here. This is all because this is going to be a major bargaining chip in the next collective bargaining agreement. And
100%.
so when he sits there and he says that he constantly gets emails about the Dodgers payroll situation, I love what Tony Clark said. Tony Clark is the head of the players union. Tony Clark said, I also get a lot of emails about teams that aren't trying to win. I get a lot of emails about teams that aren't spending their resources to try to put a competitive product on the field. That is what needs to, and I feel like that narrative, they've done a really good job of putting that narrative out there, that it's really combating Manfred's narrative. And I think that's why
Mhm.
it forces Manfred to make those comments. Well, they're not breaking any rules. And it's just like
In the current iteration though,
the
and that's
way.
that I just feel like if if you're going to turn it on one team and you get all these emails, why are we not forwarding those to the owners? Like, all right, hey, here's my hate mail about, all these like the Dodgers are ruining or these teams are ruining. Okay, well, I'm just going to forward it to your ownership. Like why is there no accountability for it? And that I know that's the dead horse that we're beating, but it these it's not poverty. It's not like we're below the poverty line and we're trying to get equity, across, an economy. This is you own a team, you are a millionaire, billionaire, etc. The whole point is to put a quality product on the field, and that's not happening. So what it's not that's not baseball for some of those teams at that point. We know where the joke's already going around that the Rockies have already been, they're
Eliminated.
they're eliminated. If that's a joke, but it's not funny. Like where's
Not if
the
you're a Rockies
accountability?
fan. Not if you're a
Or
Rockies fan.
not if you're a Rockies player either, because you didn't work this hard to not go anywhere. Like, where's the incentive to play well? You're still going to go out there and give it all on the field, but like if you're not going to win a bunch of games, like I think it was the Royals, I just heard the stat, they improved by 30 games last year. It's possible to do it, but you've got to have an ownership that backs your team.
Absolutely. I'm sitting here thinking to myself because Manfred is not going to seek reelection. This is his last term as commissioner. He's already said that. There's a part of me that think he cannot he can't cut off his nose to spite his face, right? Like
Whoa.
and this is why and this I know this is probably lunacy. This is my paranoia kicking in. But there is no way that he is sabotaging that. This is the reason why he's opting out of that TV deal with ESPN. I mean, it seemed like ESPN really wanted to get out of that deal, saying, "Hey, we don't want to pay you all this money." Um, but it's almost like
But he
what I'm
wants the
worried
network
about.
thing to be his one of his legacies.
Well, I'm worried that what he's doing is, look, we're not making enough money. We have to do this. We have to do a salary cap. We have to in order. No,
Aren't well, no,
am
no.
I
I'm
reading
sure
too much into that?
no, no, no. I'm sure that could be said, but didn't we just talk about how the MLB is like they made 12 billion last year?
Well, yeah, and that's to me
12
that's what.
I'm sorry, 12.1 billion.
Well, that's why I feel the players union is doing a really good job of putting that message out there. I just for me to sit here and constantly harp on this story and make these comments that, well, yes, the Dodgers payroll is real. I just don't remember previous commissioners saying this about the Yankees. I don't
Mm-mm.
remember, them saying it when the Red Sox, And maybe they were, and we just weren't close to it. We weren't covering it as much. But this
Well, and you have
really,
social media now that gets the message out more, so we do see more of it. But it just feels like, as much as it feels like we're beating a dead horse, it's like it's because this topic keeps coming up. Before we hopped on this episode, I was just listening to something off of Sportsnet LA, and they were talking about this because there's new comments being made, and it continues to spiral because people are using this to potentially put pressure on that new collective bargaining agreement that's going to come up in what I think it's next year.
yeah, I feel like they're really going out of their way to try to give this story legs. And for me, the what gives this story legs is that you have owners that repeatedly refuse to invest in their team to make their team better.
That's the problem, but then you have some portions of fan bases that are hearing what the owners are saying, and yes, it is all the Dodgers' fault. The Dodgers spending has nothing to do with any other owners, though. Like, yes, they are picking up a lot of players out of the market, but that doesn't mean that somebody couldn't have tried to offer them a deal. They're pulling money from that competitive balance tax pool. What are you doing with it? You're continuing to draw from it. I just don't understand. If the Dodgers are paying into it, you're getting more money. What's the problem other than you didn't snap up players when you could have? What are you doing to get those players?
Like, I hope this doesn't happen because I want to see the Dodgers win the World Series again. But what is going to be their story if someone other than the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cachorros, or the Dodgers win the World Series? Like
You mean
what?
like 2 years ago?
Yeah, like what are they going to do? Like what are they going to say? Well, okay, yeah, the Dodgers had the highest payroll, but they didn't win. So what's the problem?
But they didn't win in 2023 either.
Yeah. So
Like, it's almost like, hey, check out these facts. Oh, no. I don't want to see any facts. Like, let's not do that. It's almost seems like that's the mentality, and it's like, hey, look over here. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
absolutely. Stay vigilant, people here. We can't ignore what is right in front of us, right? It's right there. You can't gaslight. It's diga no a gaslighting. Okay. That's what we're gonna do here.
Yeah. I'm gonna get me some ruby slippers.
Hi-oh. All right, that's gonna do it for this show. Any last words, Amie?
No, that was a lot.
Okay.
We covered a lot with spring training starting.
That's right. And next week, we are going to have some live reports from spring training. And by next week, I think more players are going to actually be playing in games. So we'll have more updates for you guys. So make sure if you're listening to us on the audio version, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Write us a review, help spread the word. Let people know about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And if you're following us on social media, make sure you're following us on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Bluesky at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.